Okay, so with Isabella Wentz, she is a pharmacist and she had Hashimoto's, right? So she's a pharmacist kind of turned now she really gives like really good advice about supplements to take instead of medications, right? So for specifically for Hashimoto's because she was so young when she got Hashimoto's. I think she was like in her early 20s, which is like that's kind of
Mm,
sad for a 20-year-old, right? Because you're like, what the hell?
yeah.
And she was like a high functioning 20-year-old, like she went to medical school. So for her, she started noticing all these changes in her like thinking, and then of course like her hair was falling out. So anyway, but luckily because of her background, she just did a bunch of like research on Hashimoto's, and so she now kind of supplements medications for actual supplements that have helped, and that she really digs into the research on it. So for example, like with hair loss, like selenium is like really great, right? And then also if you have the antibodies for Hashimoto's, selenium, like one capsule a day for 60 days will probably like will really bring down your antibodies, and like that, like she has like research papers to kind of show that. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I would highly recommend people to check out Isabella Wentz for supplements, and then also kind of look through her book, The Hashimoto's Protocol.
Love it.
Yeah. And then for myself, as far as like what I eat in a day, um, it's honestly, it like really depends on like my day. But I always start out my day honestly with like a smoothie of some sort, or in my what goes in my smoothie is usually the frozen wild blueberries. The Weinmann's is my favorite, but it doesn't really
Mhm.
matter. And then of course bananas, some kind of spinach. I like to put spirulina and the barley grass juice powder in that. Spirulina is like super rich in iron, right? Something that us thyroid ladies, like we're most of us are anemic. And so spirulina, if you're looking for supplementation, is a great source of iron, right? So a smoothie of some sort, or I'll just do something quick like a fruit bowl, which is nothing, sexy or fancy.
Mhm.
It's on my feed. I always talk about that, but it's just frozen fruits, with a combination of fresh fruits on top and some like gluten-free granola and some honey. It's just really rich in carbohydrates, to be honest with you, but it's so full of goodness, and it really does kind of give me like a pump, or I feel good afterwards. And then for lunch, it could be normally it's really like just thrown together of some sort of like potatoes or rice. It could be like leftover veggies from the night before. I do like to do leftover stews and soups, like vegetable based, like with like has some kind of like lentils or beans and potatoes in there. So lunch is kind of just a hodgepodge of things thrown together, and then dinner is like the one meal where like I sit down with my family and eat. So, like we're not 100% plant-based. So, because it's hard for my kids to, they still eat chicken. So I'll normally make something like that's modified. It's like plant-based as a base. And then we can throw on some kind of meat for the kids. But most of the time, honestly, like my kids aren't that picky. They will like eat a lot of the stews and soups, except for the 4-year-old. He's always like his favorite thing right now is like he hates everything, and I'm like, okay, never mind. It's really challenging with that, and like
Jeez.
as
Yeah,
a
my
dietitian.
toddler's like, there's not enough raisins in my oatmeal. And like he does it every morning. And my husband's like, we put raisins in there. Like he's just like, there are a lot. And I'm just like over it. I'm like, Cohen, you came home from Montessori one day and said you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. So that's the motto. And we keep sticking to it. But like he is being a picky pants lately. And we put more raisins in it, and he's just like, there's not enough raisins. And I'm like, oh, come on. Come on.
They're like that right now. How old is he?
He's 4.5.
Oh
He's
yeah,
driving
yeah.
me nuts.
They're like they can never have too many. They just want like all of it, and then be
Yeah,
like, oh, then there's too many. Probably
I
that's what
know.
it turn into.
Oh
But
my
yeah,
God.
so pretty much, yeah, my day is mostly plant-based, or my like I normally eat plant-based.
Mhm.
Like meat is only like if I don't know, I'm put in a situation where it's just like, all right, it's gonna be chicken, but
Mhm.
I don't really have a choice. But for the most part, it's mostly plants in my daily lifestyle.
Love it. Love it. Okay, so you were talking about Isabella and how she was diagnosed with Hashimoto super early. Annette, what do you think is causing this major influx of thyroid issues?
Yeah, honestly, I can't. It's it really comes down to like our diet, right? It really is triggered from like the liver, and so a high fat diet is really going to put, and also it's not just that. There's like it's like a two-part equation. So I really I what I'm seeing is that there's just a trend in just us eating, fast food, convenience foods, which are naturally high in fat. Of course, like this push for, oh, you need protein, and most of us, when we think of protein, we think of meat. Like that's just the
Yeah,
equivalent. Like you're like, oh, protein, meat. We need to eat more meat. And
right,
so,
right.
but it's a burden on our liver. So then when the liver is like sluggish, stagnant, and it's getting backed up because of a high fat diet, then it's like that's where our thyroid hormones are converted. So immediately your thyroid is, liver and thyroid are gonna, it goes wonky. And then the second part to that is a lot of us, there's just we live in a highly industrial society, which I think we kind of forget, like the time that we're living in. And so we're exposed to a lot of toxins, right? And then
Right, right,
also they're in our products. It's in our food, right? If we're eating a lot of processed foods or whatever. And so, you're adding toxins to the mix on top of that with our liver. And so it's really causing, first you get like the hypo or hyperthyroidism, but on top of that we have like these viruses that are also living within us. I mean, we all have viruses on us on some kind of level, right?
mhm,
But whether they're in check or not, because just really depends on the health of the human being, on the individual, right? So if you have a weak immune system, you're giving it opportunity to be triggered on, and then you can launch an autoimmune condition. Just we all have daily stressors, and we're all walking around with there's trauma that's happening around us, and so it gets exacerbated, and you're giving it an opportunity for some kind of autoimmune condition like Hashimoto's to be triggered. But in general, I think we're seeing an influx of thyroid disease in general because of our diet and our lifestyle and the exposure to toxins. And so this is why I think we're seeing a lot of like non-toxic products, whether it's in beauty or cleaning supplies, right?
right,
And then
right,
also a shift to more plant-based eating, because I think the consumer really wants to get control of what's in their food, and knowing that they have control of what's being put in there.
right, right.
So they want to try to eat more whole foods, plant-based, but it's kind of like we have to get back to learning how to cook again, um, and like adjusting our taste buds, because I know some people are just like, oh, this doesn't taste good.
Right,
But
right,
anyway,
right.
it's just kind of that reconnection in the kitchen too. So
Yeah, I love that. So are you recommending for your clients, and also just kind of going back to like the trauma that you said, like we even read that, um, autoimmune issues can be caused or, exacerbated from like past trauma in your childhood and all that stuff. So it just is like this culmination of stress in so many facets that
mhm.
yeah, like you're just saying, like the human body, we just like cannot handle it. So it's just like, F you, we're going to go ahead and rebel, and and now, yeah,
Yeah,
now you need to really pay attention to what you're doing, what you're putting in, what you're putting on, what you're breathing, like all the things. So
absolutely.
it's been a big wake up call for me, that's for sure, having acute thyroiditis, not
Mhm.
necessarily Hashimoto's, which is so interesting. So I'm still working on that. Okay, so for your, let's wrap this up, Annette. Let's wrap it up into a little package. What are your top 3 tips? I mean, you've already said, we need to reduce the fat. You've
Mhm.
already said that multiple times. So we need to reduce the fat in our diet, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then we need to make sure our environment is optimal and proper supplementation. Are there any other things that you want to make sure that people out there who are struggling with thyroid issues in some fashion know?
Yeah. So, I mean, if I had to give like maybe like one or two tips, like you were saying, like top three, and then also some like where to start or like where to begin, right?
Yeah.
You know, I really do feel it starts with, yeah, like our diet for sure, because then as like we start changing that, like your body is so receptive. If you just begin to eat the foods that we are designed to eat, and our like our organ, the liver, is designed to handle, then it becomes very responsive, right? Like it's, you can start mitigating that, right? So or like turning the ship around is what I'm trying to say. So you start there, and when I say, like, you know, it's the fat, then, you know, starting your day out with fruits, right? That's like the first thing I go over with my clients, is starting your day out with fruits. And it doesn't have to be like, oh, banana and an apple. You know, you can change it up. There's acai bowls, there's smoothies, smoothie bowls, you know, all of that. So sorry.
Okay.
Ay, ay,
No
ay.
worries.
I'm gonna turn this off. So there's starting your day out with fruits, and then also I think stress like is the biggest one. Oh my God, this is terrible. I should have turned that off. So wait, yeah. So stress is like the biggest like trigger that turns it on. So I think like doing some kind of practice, right? I think we all make excuses for meditation or going for a walk or yoga. And I get it. Like we're so busy. I totally understand that. I have three kids, I have like a business. And so even for myself, like I think like that is like one of the hardest struggles, because I feel like I'm trying to get ahead. I'm trying to get ahead. But when I learn, or when I know that, okay, if I just acknowledge and put myself first and do these self-care activities that I know are important, things just fall into place naturally. I just feel like a door opens up or something. So I want to say, like, really practicing, or getting into the habit of practicing some kind of stress um, alleviation,
Management.
whether
Yeah.
it's meditation, whether it's just like there, you can download an app like a Insight Timer, and they have like the 5 minute, 3 minute breathing exercises. Like that even makes a big difference. You can even feel it, like a shift in your brain. So, and the science behind like breath exercises is like crazy. It's amazing. So I
Yes.
would just really like that's like my biggest advice, is really fixing or starting with your diet, and then also the stress part with self-care. I just think like we're being pushed to do too much, and I only see it
Hustle
getting
culture.
worse. Yeah, it's
Hustle
our culture.
culture.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy. Hustle culture needs to stop. That's something that I just was teaching my society members, and whoo boy, it's not the cool thing to do. Like it's just not, and we have to prioritize ourselves first. It's like the number one thing that we need to do. So that we can like not crash and burn.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So Annette, I have one more question, and it is what I ask everybody. What does holistic living mean to you?
Ooh. Okay. Holistic living to me means living from a point of where it's as natural as possible, right? Like, and whatever that means for the individual, because not everybody has access to these tools, right? So for me, it's like instead of when you getting sick, you know, running to the doctor or calling a doctor, like that's the kind of the culture I grew up in. It's just like, oh, Mija needs to go to the doctor. Mija needs medicine, you know, because we're Mexican American. And so it's just like when you're sick, they're like, oh, what medicine are you taking? And it's like, okay, let's not reach for like the medicine cabinet.
Yeah.
So holistic living to me is like using, you know, natural resources to improve your health, and trying to get back to natural remedies for your daily lifestyle and living, right? And that includes eating, also supplementation, um, and then also like herbal medication, or herbal, you know, or taking herbal supplements to
Yeah.
help heal anything that's going on. And then, of course, if it gets worse, then that's where it's like, okay, Western medicine can't help. You know, you don't have to suffer. Like, I don't push my clients into that. So, holistic living to me is just really kind of getting back to our natural resources, because we all have them. And we're all like online looking for the answers, like Googling how to do this, how to do that. But honestly, you have the answers within. Like if you could just go silent and ask yourself, like, what do I need? Like quietly close your eyes and ask yourself that question, and you'll get a response. Like, I know it sounds woo woo, but you have the answer intuitively. Your body knows, and you know as well. But I think we're just kind of conditioned to kind of ask somebody else or give the power away, but you have that power within.
That's so powerful, Annette. Oh my God, I love it. Okay.
Okay.
Well, my friend, where can we find you? And anything that you want to share in terms of links and stuff like that. We'll put that all in the show notes. But if there's
Yeah.
anywhere particular that you want us to follow you, let us know that right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm mostly on Instagram at thyroid.gut.rd. And it's the same handle on TikTok if you want to find me there. And my website though is healthy gut .co. Like, what is it? Yeah, healthygut.co. And so, but I'm very active on Instagram. That's where, you can slide into my DMs. I'm very social. I love engaging with my community there. So you can take
Awesome.
a look at me there.
We'll be sure to link all of that. My friend, thank you so much for your time. And I will see you over on Instagram because that's where we hang out together. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
all right. Have a great day. Be well.
Bye.